I call her the ice queen or the bitch or that bitch, the ice queen. We all have a place inside that is our critic. Perhaps she is our perfectionist, or she's the one who tells you to quit before you even try. Welcome to Body of Truth. I'm Rebecca Windsor. Body of Truth was born after years of suppressing my own inner voice. The world as I knew it got decimated, and I needed to rebuild from the ground up. So the way that I did this was I started to listen to that voice. And I found that as I needed to make these huge changes in my life, the way to make them last was to bring them up through my physical body to create a new neural pathway. So I am literally creating a new physical reality for myself. And it's how those changes finally stuck. I hope that you will perhaps listen to your own inner voice or start a self-inquiry of your own. So Ice Queen, I think, was born because she's so exacting, right? In my mind's eye, she's striding around in patent leather boots and brandishing a whip. And it is a whip that I used to actually get off on. So this is part of how she gets her little fingers in you and gets you to get stuck in the pit. So maybe your voice, your negative perfectionistic voice says, don't even try. No one wants to listen to what you have to say. You have nothing to contribute, and your work just is never even worth it. So really you should give this up before you try. Mine is so insidious that she says to me, you're good, you're just not quite good enough. You're so close to being good. You're just not quite there. You just don't measure up, and you'll never measure up. So, and it is all in that pursuit of inaction, because then she has control. Because with no action comes no change, and no change is no threat to your ego, right? So this is the part of you that wants things to stay exactly as they are. And the phrase I tend to use is, it's almost more comforting at times. We've all been stuck here, to lay on a bed of nails that we know than the feather bed that we aren't sure is out there. Staying with the punishment and the brutality of what we know and what we put ourselves through, rather than trying the unknown and possibly, I don't know, failing further. I would offer, when that failure finally came for me, when my marriage finally gave its final death rattle and imploded, even in that moment of heartbreak, and it literally did knock the wind out of me, even in that moment, I felt a little relief. So the worst thing for me, the thing that I had imagined is the worst thing that could happen, happened. And yes, was I devastated? Absolutely. Was I thrown in the pit? For a long time. But it didn't end me. I had always assumed it would end me, and it didn't. So it made a little bit of a liar out of her. And so that started my inquiry of like, maybe everything she says about me isn't true. And so when I use the phrase deep work comes in a lot of different forms. It could come in the form of kind of self-dialogue or journaling, sometimes meditation, or sometimes just a really deep conversation with a girlfriend or your loved one or your spouse. Or if you can really get in that groove where you are talking not philosophically, but underneath the surface about what is spurring you, that's deep work. So don't let that woo-woo type title throw you, because all it means is looking underneath the hood and seeing what moves us. What are our triggers? How do we respond to them? It's giving us that even just that paper thin space to separate us from being in the moment, right? So it gives us just a little bit of observational space So we don't have to be completely ruled by our emotions. The trigger puts us into our state of emotion, but the real growth comes from allowing yourself the space, and this takes time and practice of being able to be like, oh, I'm fucking completely off my rocker. I wonder where that comes from. Where's that coming from? You know, and you're going to have to feel the emotion. Don't suppress it. Because I've said before, it will come back. It will come back stronger and more devious and possibly more passive aggressively against yourself or someone else. So I just wanted to touch on, when I say deep work, I don't mean like you need to fast for a week and meditate like on a mountaintop. All it means is you need to be really truthful and not be afraid of telling yourself that honest truth. It can be a very ugly, raw truth, but I promise by shining the light on it, you will go to a place you have not permitted yourself to go before, and it will set you free. And with practice, this gets easier and easier. So my ice queen today appeared as I was thinking about what would come up for me, what I'd like to speak about. And she really tried to cripple me. She pulled out every stop. She said, everything you talk about is just watered down versions of what other people have said. She says that you are doing this simply for people to pay attention to you. It's like you're spinning plates in desperation just for attention. You have nothing to offer. And I could have believed that. And I could have let that sink into me and let me start to kind of climb down that ladder into the pit with her. Or I can be like, you're just uncomfortable because I'm doing something that's very uncomfortable, that I'm doing something new. And although these are conversations that I've always had with my intimates, they are not conversations that I have invited the world to be part of, but I am moved to do so. And I am not going to let that stop me. What I hope to do here is to give you both the place and the tools and facility to start to look at things that maybe you haven't looked at before. That fire is in you. It's in every single one of us. And I am someone that had coals burning for years that I tried my hardest to suppress. And this is your invitation to allow those coals a little bit of oxygen so that they start to glow and then to flame, because you know it's there. And right now, in this state of the world, anyone that has that capability is being called to rise. And I am charging you with that call to rise. Do not let that bitch, the ice queen, suppress you. Call her whatever you want. But my challenge to you is to come alive. I was numb for years. I'd rather spend a day of agony and misery than being numb. I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, please subscribe. And if you want a notification of my daily uploads, you do need to click the bell. If you click the link to join my newsletter, I do have a private Facebook community where we can start to have these deep discussions in a place of safety and a container of security. So if you would like to sign up for that newsletter, not only am I more explicit there than I am here, but you will be invited to be part of that community. So you have some privacy and a place to start to employ these techniques. I upload every day. I will never let her stop me, and I will see you tomorrow.